Welcome to this healing session for the balancing and activation of the Solar Plexus Chakra. This is the third in the series, so if you've not already listened to the root and sacral chakra activation, you might like to listen to those first, and do subscribe to my channel to receive the full series. The solar plexus is our centre of personal power, and when it's in balance, you feel safe to express and be yourself, and also be part of your community. This session will support you to feel empowered, increase self-esteem, to have better relationships, and to support you to live to your full potential. In this session, we will release trapped emotions stored in the body. We will regulate the nervous system and utilise the circulatory system to bring oxygenated blood and awareness to areas of the body-mind. So throughout the session, I will invite you to hold areas of the body to support this focus. I'm tuning into the most appropriate healing for this group of listeners. So I invite you to get into a comfortable position, either sitting, reclining, or lying down. And we'll start by just taking 3 nice deep breaths into the belly. Nice, deep, expansive breaths into the front, the sides, the back of the belly. Nice, deep abdominal breaths coming into your body, coming into your breath. And you might like to just gently bring your awareness to the solar plexus chakra, which is in between the sternum bone at the base of the rib cage and the belly button. So just below the bra strap for women. So just bringing the solar plexus tension to that area. And with every out breath, an invitation to release, relax, and let go. Letting go of any tension. You don't need to hold any tension anywhere in your body. Really giving yourself permission to let go. Letting go of any emotion. You might like to take a couple of nice deep breaths, breathing out through the mouth. And letting go of any surface tension, any stress, any emotion as you breathe out through the mouth. And then just really starting to feel the energy center of the solar plexus, the chakra. And I'm just tuning into the group. And we're actually going to start with the solar plexus. And the aspects of the solar plexus we're going to look at today to start with is around our potential and really growing into our full potential. So we can start to visualize that almost like that central sun of the solar plexus expanding and growing. And what's coming in is the color yellow. And with that, this color yellow is going to support us to bring in more happiness and to support us to feel more happiness in our body. This color is also going to help repair the DNA. So as I tune in more, we're going to actually be clearing some fear from the DNA today. And we're going to utilize hydration to allow the water to flush out and clear that emotional stagnation, really, that fear that's being held as blocked emotions in the body mind, particularly in the DNA. So that's the full picture of what we're going to be balancing. So I invite you to place your hands over the solar plexus chakra and just starting by taking some really nice deep breaths. And we're just supporting the body mind to really come into balance and grow into our full potential. So we're bringing in that color yellow, really feeling that expand in the solar plexus, but also in the whole body. The image that's coming to me is almost like this yellow being like a shower It's going to start at the top of the head and then just wash down through the whole body, down through the head, neck, shoulders, chest, abdominal area, hips, upper legs, knees, legs, and arms. So you might want to just do, it's almost like you're scanning the body, but with this yellow light, flushing out any fear as we do that. So we're particularly looking at the DNA and flushing out any fear in the DNA. And this is going to, with this colour yellow, it's going to actually bring more happiness right down to that cellular level, and also help to repair the DNA. So let's just work through that again, just from head to toe, just visualizing it starting at the top of the head, coming down through the forehead, down through the eyes, ears, mouth, jaw, chin, neck, shoulders, front and back, and just washing down through the arms first this time. So right down through the upper arms to the elbow, lower arms to the wrist, and then through the hands with this colour yellow. And you might like to just visualize any fear just dripping out through the hands as it's washing out through the body. And then we'll start again from the shoulders, coming down, collarbone, chest, upper back, down to the diaphragm area, middle back, lower back, belly, hips, upper legs, knees, lower legs, feet. And then again, just visualizing that fear dripping out through the toes, being washed out by this hydration. And I'm just supporting this process energetically, just really clearing the fear so that the DNA can align more with the happiness vibration. And we're really activating the potential of the solar plexus chakra to express fully who we really are and to follow our life path. So seeing now this real central sun expand, this yellow in the solar plexus becoming bright and clear as we really acknowledge and accept this growth opportunity within ourselves. So that part of the balancing is complete. So I'm just tuning in again to see what we're going to balance next. And the first thing that's coming up is the pancreas. And this is really interesting because the pancreas is very much linked with the solar plexus chakra. The solar plexus chakra is to do with digestion, and the pancreas is very much, part of the digestive system. So digestion is coming up as an aspect that's needing to be balanced on all levels, body, mind, spirit, within the pancreas. And what I'm picking up is stagnation and confusion within the pancreas. And this is actually then linking into the solar plexus, and what is going on in the solar plexus chakra perhaps will give an indication as to what's going on with the pancreas as they're interlinked. And what I'm picking up in the solar plexus chakra is stubbornness and needing to be right. So this is like the solar plexus chakra relates to our personal power, but it also relates to, how we assert our will. And if we're asserting it in a really righteous kind of stubborn, my way or the highway kind of a way, then that's not really healthy and in balance. And it's going to potentially create issues in the pancreas. So, if we think about something too much, it creates confusion. So this idea of needing to be right, going over and over and over and over, that can actually create confusion because we're kind of going over the same pattern many times. And it can also create stagnation, which is the two aspects that I picked up in the pancreas because of this idea of, just really kind of not changing, not growing, just asserting the same thing, as it were, and needing it to be that way. It's kind of stuck in a place. So we're then linking that into the pituitary. And this is really interesting because the pituitary controls the endocrine system, which the pancreas is a part of. So it controls all the hormones and chemicals, that are relating to the pancreas. And what's coming up is for the pituitary is communication. So really clearing up that communication, so we're not stuck in this kind of patterning of needing to be right and it needing to be a certain way. So it's kind of opening up that communication, and that's that instruction, as it were, is coming from the pituitary. And then we're also working with nourishment, which obviously is a consciousness aspect of the pancreas as well, that really nourishing ourselves. So that's coming in via the pituitary as the sort of regulator of the endocrine system. So those are the next things that we're going to balance. So I invite you to hold one hand over the pancreas, which is on the left-hand side of the lower rib cage, and the other hand over the pituitary if it's comfortable to do so. So it's just in that third eye area. And I'm going to support everyone. I'm going to support everybody around the solar plexus area so that we've got all three areas held. And we're just going to start again by taking a few nice deep breaths, really supporting the pancreas to come into better balance around digestion on all levels, clearing any stagnation and any confusion. This is then really supporting the solar plexus chakra to come into this kind of growth opportunity, really, of letting go of stubbornness, and allowing ourselves to digest the world in a more kind of open to receiving kind of way, rather than needing to be right. So it's really supporting the solar plexus chakra to come into better balance. The yellow colour's coming in again, so you might like to just visualise that yellow colour. Again, just flushing out anything that's got stuck there. Any stagnation in the pancreas also, and confusion. And just really visualise this yellow, just supporting this to come into balance. And then we're just going to the pituitary, just in that third eye area, really supporting the communication, the hormones of the body, particularly for the pancreas. So all the right signals are getting from the pituitary to the pancreas, particularly around nourishment and how important it is to take good care of ourselves. So that we can digest the world in a more healthy way. Okay, so that is complete. So you can relax your hands, and I'm just going to tune into the group again and see what comes up. And what I'm picking up is the amygdala, which is part of the brain. It's part of the nervous system. And it's the part of the brain that's very much like our alarm bell of the brain. And it tends to get triggered, particularly around emotional responses, so it can be those childhood patterns, fears that relate to, memories that we've had, and, aggression patterns to do with the kind of fight or flight response and how that's triggered, particularly from emotional triggers in our environment. So what's coming up for the amygdala is reading people. So this is really interesting in relation to the solar plexus chakra, because the solar plexus chakra is very much about our boundaries, this idea of, what we let in, what we don't let in into our world. And, obviously how we read people is going to influence that. And if we are just being triggered by old emotional memories that are nothing to do with the actual person stood in front of us, then that's not going to be, that's quite not really very helpful. So we're going to have a look at this, and we're linking that into the solar plexus chakra And what's coming up is addiction, which is an expression of the solar plexus when it's gone out of balance. We can tend to go into addictive patterns. You know, it almost relates to what we worked with before, this needing things to be a certain way. It's like repeating over and over. It's kind of, you know, in order to feel safe, really, because we're not feeling secure in who we are, which is what the solar plexus is all about. So we need to sort of try and control the outer world. So this is then linking into a belief, and the belief that's coming up is I'm not good enough. So if we're not feeling good enough, we will tend to either control the world, you know, so that we can feel, you know, strong and good, or you know, we will perhaps look at addictive patterns as a way of trying to, you know, control our environment again. Sort of finding the security in that repetition, as it were. So so that's what we're looking at. That's the whole picture. So if you're lying down, and if it's comfortable to do so, you can just hold the base of the skull at the back of the head to support the nervous system, and then the other hand over the solar plexus chakra again. And again, some nice deep breaths. We're just really soothing that amygdala, getting it to have a fresh look at how it's reading people. Is it based on old mechanisms and responses that are no longer serving? I'm really supporting the amygdala to come into a healthier balance on all levels. We're then supporting the solar plexus chakra, particularly around addictive patterns, and supporting it to grow into more healthy patterns where we can feel more empowered and good about ourselves. So this is then linking into this belief, I'm not good enough. So just really taking some nice deep breaths. When beliefs come up like this, it means on some level that you're ready to let them go. So in this instance, I'm not good enough. It's probably come from childhood. It's probably something you were told either by a parent or a teacher as a child. But what we've done is we've taken it on. And, you know, this is freaking out the amygdala, because the amygdala is feeling quite fearful. So, you know, and particularly in relation to reading people in this instance. And so what we're doing is we're just, as best as we can, just taking a few nice deep breaths and letting go of this belief, I'm not good enough, knowing that it's not who you are, it's not serving you, knowing that it's just conditioning that's come from probably from childhood, and that you can let this go now. So just really breathing into that. You know, and what's coming up is almost this, I'm not good enough, this kind of talking down to ourselves almost can become like an addictive pattern. You know, it's almost like, you know, it makes us feel safe because then we don't shine our light. So what we're working with here is stepping out of that addictive pattern and really beginning to shine our light into the world, knowing that we are good enough, that you are good enough. Okay, so that is complete. You can relax your hands, and I'm just tuning in to find the next pieces that we're going to be working with. And what's coming up, we're going to look at the relationship between the left and the right hemisphere of the brain. And this relates to the masculine and feminine aspects of the brain and of ourselves. So the left hemisphere relates more to the masculine, which is more logical, more to do with the future, and the right hemisphere is more feminine, which is more intuitive and more to do with the present moment. And what's coming up specifically around the relationship between the masculine and feminine brain is to look at the relationship between what's appropriate and what's possible. So the masculine will go, I could do this, I can do this, I could do this, I could do this. So this is really interesting in terms of, you know, what we were talking about, our potential. You know, there's the potential in this world to do a multitude of different things. But what the feminine will say is yeah, you could, but is it appropriate? So it's this kind of measure on what's possible, and really aligning it to, what's appropriate for each individual. So that's the first thing that we're going to have a look at. And then we're going to link this into the parietal lobe, which is a lobe of the cortex that's at the top of the head. And the aspect of the parietal lobe that's coming up is to take a look at proprioception. And what proprioception is how we are in space. So, I always think of cats' whiskers and how they know what space they can fit through because of their whiskers. So this is really interesting, this idea of navigating ourselves in space. But that can be physical space, but it can also be the space of our life, our personal boundaries, what we're planning to do with our life and how we navigate that, which very much relates into the solar plexus chakra, which is all about our boundaries, our potential, that we worked on earlier, our self, our self-esteem. So, how we feel about ourselves, how we feel, can we take up the space? Can we kind of shine our light and or are we wanting to kind of shrink down in space and almost hide? So this is how this relates to the solar plexus chakra. And the solar plexus chakra is actually coming in again. And this time it's coming up in relation to our relationships. So this idea of, if we start to shift from, and balance what's appropriate and what's possible, and also how we are in space and how we're navigating our space. So that's going to shift our personal boundaries. It's also going to shift what we say yes and what we say no to. Then it's going to shift our relationships. And this is what the aspect of the solar plexus chakra that's coming up. So we're going to work to balance that. So I invite you can either hold over the solar plexus chakra in the top of the head to support the parietal lobe and solar plexus, or you can hold either sides of the head to support the balancing of the left and right hemisphere of the brain. It's really up to you, whatever's most comfortable for you. So just taking a few nice deep breaths to start with, and just balancing the relationship between the left and the right hemisphere of the brain around what's possible and what's appropriate, really bringing this into what's a healthy balance for you. For each of us, it's going to be different. And then just getting the parietal lobe to have a fresh look around its sense of space, particularly in relation to what we've been doing in this session, really expanding our self-esteem, expanding our kind of self-worth through that belief, I'm good enough. And then looking at how that shifts our relationship. So again, focusing on that solar plexus chakra, the lovely yellow light there. So it's really this sense of taking responsibility for ourselves and our choices. That's very much what the solar plexus is about. And then, allowing ourselves to meet others from that place, so that we're not projecting onto other people. We're taking responsibility for who we are. We're becoming sovereign, which is again what the solar plexus is all about. Okay, so that's feeling really vibrant. It feels like the solar plexus is really shining away now. So that's fabulous. I'm just going to see if there's anything else that needs to be balanced before we finish up today. What I'm picking up is the amygdala again, but this time around aggression. So I explained earlier that the amygdala is all about those mechanisms that activate the alarm bell of the brain. And aggression can be one of those things. But because it can activate the fight or flight nervous system, it can activate potentially aggression in us as well. So it's looking at this response within the amygdala to perhaps, but also that outside stimulus of aggression. It could actually evoke a fear response in us as well, not necessarily aggression. So we're looking then at how that connects into the hypothalamus, which is another part of the brain. And the hypothalamus is to do with homeostasis, balance. It helps to, it can be quite vigilant. It can sometimes become over vigilant. But in this case, we're looking at the more, it's more kind of regulating qualities of balancing, creating homeostasis, and also nourishment. So we're looking at this in relation to this aggression pattern. And then again, we're bringing in the solar plexus chakra, because the solar plexus chakra can go into judgment. And then that's that aspect of kind of not being sovereign again, not taking the responsibility. So, it's a little bit of an out of balance expression of the solar plexus. So this all seems to be triggered by this kind of aggression. So we're looking specifically at how the solar plexus is responding, to kind of polarity and division in our world, perhaps by judgment. So that's the whole picture. So again, you can just hold the back of the head to support the nervous system and the solar plexus chakra, just to bring awareness and oxygenated blood to that area. And we're just taking a few nice deep breaths, really supporting that amygdala to come out of this kind of response to aggression, whatever that might be, into a more balanced, kind of nourished and there's more homeostasis in terms of the response. We're then feeding that through into the solar plexus so that it can shift out of judgment into this balance. Of really not allowing aggression to throw us out of our own power center, really, is what's coming up here. And when we judge somebody else in a negative way, because of their behavior, then we're giving our power away. So it's really coming back into and standing in our power, particularly in relation to aggression. So that is the end of the balancing today. I hope that you've enjoyed the balancing. Please do hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel so that you can listen to the other chakra balancings. And if you're interested to experience a one-on-one session or group healing session with me, then please do look under the video for my contact details, www.replenishzing.com. My name's Sarah Chave. I just hope that you've enjoyed and benefited from the session today. Many blessings.